I am Nienke, a Dutch nomad who hiked 416 kilometers on the seaside and 270 kilometers in the Polish mountains. And now it's time to go back home to my Kraków, enjoy and follow my journeys here in this amazing country. Really one of the most beautiful days of my life. Hello everyone! So while the snowflakes are falling again in Kraków, and it's pretty cold. I think it was -8 or something this night. Still freezing winter, and for me of course that's not too bad. But I was thinking, let's make a little video inside today. I will also go outside today later for the little walk. Of course, if you're in Kraków you have to, right? So I have this jar and there are some, almost dropped it, there are some papers in it, and I was like, since I was on the seaside for almost 3 weeks doing a hike, and shortly after that 2 weeks in the mountains to doing a hike, and both in the winter, I was like, let's do some comparison between the two. Like, so in general the seaside and the mountains, and just about my hiking as well. So let's see what we will get. So first we have variety. So I think the most variety I had in the mountains. The seaside was also very special, and every day was different as well on the seaside, but of course you had like the stable thing, just the sea. So I was following the sea to the west, so I always had the sea, and it was not that every day was the same, because I had like different weather conditions as well on the seaside every day, and it was really, yeah, special. But the most variety I definitely had in the mountains. Like, I couldn't compare any day with another day, so that was definitely the mountains. Oh, they all want to come. Next, uniqueness. Okay, so this is a difficult one. But I think the most unique trip was the seaside, because in the mountains you're used to having that winter weather that I had during my hikes, but at the seaside we had such a crazy winter already, and it was the beginning of December. So for example, people were saying that I shouldn't do a seaside walk in December because of storms and rain and wind, but I didn't have any of that. Yeah, a little bit of storm and wind, but then in the form of like ice cold weather, like snow on the beach, like really big layers of snow on the sand, and Sowinski National Park in the snow, so it was like I was in the mountains. So that was really unique, that I had that much snow on the beach, like many days of my walk. And also it was really cold. I had -18 during days, and you had like all the ice forming, so that was also like really unique for me, especially because, you know, the Netherlands, we don't have like strong winters anymore. So for me it was, yeah, the seaside was definitely the most unique. Next one, tourists. So on the seaside, in December, or in winter in general, I think there are no tourists. So if you want to be on your own on the seaside, because I know the seaside of Poland is very beautiful and a lot of tourists go there, like mostly the Polish ones and German ones. But if you want to be alone on the seaside, go in the winter, because then you have like literally no tourists. I had a lot of guest houses for myself, there was no one else. On the beach I was on my own. So that was yeah, that was very unique again. And the mountains are of course more tourists. Like in the winter, of course, people go to the mountains. So then the second week that I was doing my hike in the mountains, I was not alone in guest houses, because the Polish kids had holiday already parts of Poland, so they came with their families, of course, to ski and stuff. So then it was a little bit more busy, like and more loud in the guest houses. So, but again, no English. I didn't hear any English tourists, not on the seaside, not in the mountains. So the places where I was in the mountains, just the Polish people go there for their holidays, like the family. So that's not really tourists. So that was really nice, because I don't really like too many tourists in one place. Okay, next we have physical challenge. Whew. Okay, both were physically very challenging, I must say. Because on the seaside, of course, walking on the beach is not the easiest. I did many kilometers as well. I had many 30+ days on the seaside. Those were physically really challenging as well. And one day in on the seaside was also very physically challenging, and that was in Słowinski National Park, with the dunes, and 12 kilometers on the seaside after that, and then another part with dunes up and down. And of course the -18 days, -11 days, those were also physically very challenging for me on the seaside. But the mountains were the most challenging. So you can imagine how challenging the mountains were when you just heard about my challenges on the seaside. But yeah, it's just, I had parts on the mountains where like no one else went, like hiking trails that are yeah, for the summer mostly. So then I had snow till my knees, and then no one had walked there, so I had to walk through that snow and then up uphill. Yeah, those experiences were insane. And it was like I even had like an experience where it was physically so challenging that I didn't know how to get through it. But then I asked for help, and then not to people, but just in general, like, please help me. And then I had a moment where I knew I had the physical challenge, so my heartbeat was like, and I had the breathing and stuff. So I felt that my body was heavily going through something, but I didn't feel it, so I could go on. So that was really special to experience that for the first time. That it was so physically challenging, but then you come in like, I think, a kind of survival mode or something, that you don't feel your physical tiredness anymore, and you can go on. So yeah, the mountains were physically more challenging. Sleep. I think I slept better in the mountains. And maybe because of the physical challenge, that I was just physically so ready to sleep that I slept well, but I don't know what it was, because also on the seaside I slept around 9 because then I was already tired and ready to sleep, but in the mountains I slept around between 10 and 11 and I woke up like before my alarm. So before 6 I woke up and I was ready to go. So I had less sleep in the mountains but better sleep, and I'm still figuring out why that is, so I have no idea. Yeah, no idea. Maybe the beds. I also don't know. Maybe the beds were better in the mountains. Villages. Oh, that's a good one. Okay, so I cannot really judge the villages on the seaside because I was there in the winter, so everything was closed and there were almost no people. So I had even villages where there were no supermarkets or something open, no restaurants open, everything was closed. So I cannot really judge the seaside villages in that way. I have to come back when it's nice weather and it's alive and everything is going on there. So so that was also very unique about the seaside, those ghost villages, because normally you have like packed, very alive, and now it was just no one, everything closed with like the things before the windows and the stuff. So yeah, but the villages in the mountains, I fell in love with almost all the villages in the mountains I came to. It's like, so I was in the part Novi Targ and then to the east. So Zakopane and the Tatra Mountains on the other side, and I went to Pianini and then to the east. So it's Chavnica and Musena and all the Zdrui villages, like the spa towns, and even the villages where I went through in the hills to just, you know, villages that were like just a few streets, was really nice. Like walking through all the streets with just the houses and how people lived and people making their area snow free, and the dogs like greeting me and just walking around like on the streets and walking a little bit with me, and and just like the kids that came from school. And yeah, I really liked the mountain villages. I really like the villages in the south. Energy. Oh yeah, I already told you that. Somehow I had more energy in the mountains. Even though it was physically more challenging, I had more energy. I slept later and I woke up every day before my alarm, even sometimes at 5. And I was ready to go. So that was a really weird feeling for me, because yeah, I did crazy things, and I had also days that my body was like hurting, like my back and my legs, and but my mental energy was like, oh, let's go. I don't know what it is. It's really weird. Maybe some of you know why I have more energy in the mountains. Because it's not about really the trees, because there are also a lot of trees on the seaside in Poland. A lot of trees and nature. So yeah, I don't know. Weather. The craziest winter I had on the seaside, with the ice, cold, and the snow on the beach. But I also, then when I came back to Krakow for a month, I was a month in between the two. I was in Krakow, and it was like almost spring, like literally the 1st of January when my family came, it was 16 degrees. So there was no snow, it was just between 8 and 16 degrees. And then when I started the moment when I started my mountain trip, the winter came back. So like 2 days before I left Krakow, the winter came, so the first snow fell again in the mountains. So when I came on the Saturday, full on winter. Like then I already had the first day, it snowed on my knees, and like struggling with going down as well, like sliding. So yeah, the winter followed me, I must say, because now as well I'm back in Krakow, and the winter because it was not really snowy in Krakow when I was doing the hikes in the mountains, and now it's back. So yeah, I love the winter, by the way, so I really liked that it was winter in the mountains, but the weather was more crazy in the on the seaside, but also I loved the snow in the mountains. There was no sun though, so I really missed the sun on the mountains hike, and on the seaside I had the sun, so that was also really special about the seaside. Ice and sun at the same time. Guest houses. Again, I cannot really judge because I stayed in guest houses on the seaside, the ones that are normally like open, because there are endless ones, but a lot of them were closed because it was off season on the seaside, and of course in the mountains it was on season, so I had a lot more to choose from. But the guest houses that I had, definitely in the mountains. I prefer the ones in the mountains. They were like really good, like really, really good. And a lot of them were even like, of course, like at a lower price than on the seaside, because there was more competition. But yeah, the ones in the mountains. Also, they were like really traditional. I liked the Polish traditional houses in the mountains, like with the wood and stuff, and a lot of those were like that in the mountains. So yeah, definitely. So I have to try a hike on the seaside when it's nicer weather, so I can experience some other guest houses as well. But for now, mountains. Oh, two again. Mental strength. Mental strength. On both hikes I had to have like insane mental strength. On the seaside, especially with the cold days, where my body was like, what are you doing? Please stop walking. And because my muscles were like, I don't know if we're going to make this. I had to go through, and I had one day on the seaside, the Sowinski day, where I almost had a panic attack. And I have a history with depression and panic attacks and anxiety 4 years ago. So, and I healed from that, I think 2 years ago. So there's always a chance for me to have them again. And on the seaside I almost had one, but then I remembered who I was and who I had become and how much I had grown, also mentally. So I talked myself out of it like in no time, and I was like, wow, in such heavily conditions, insane conditions, and you are like mentally so strong that you instantly can control your body and how it feels. That was insane for me. That was for me that was the point where I was like, okay, the Nienke from 4 years ago was laying on the couch, not being able to do anything and being in so much pain and stress and anxiety. She's not here anymore. Here's the new one. And I was so proud of myself. And as I told before, in the mountains I had also days where my mental strength was so high. Yeah, my mental strength in the mountains brought me to the end, I think. Yeah, definitely. Next one, planning. So it was easier to plan the seaside hike because I just had to follow the sea. And there were some guest houses who were open for me to come. So that one was really easy to plan. The mountains was really difficult to plan. Like I thought I had a nice route, but then I experienced like what winter was like in those mountains, and then I had even in my journey I had to make changes to not make it too crazy for me, because I had to make sure that I stayed safe. So And that one was really, really difficult to plan in the mountains because you really have to think about the conditions where you're walking in, and the route that Google Maps is trying to get through, like insane. Because I had one day where Google Maps was trying to get me like through all the tops of the mountains, like the Beskids mountains, like 4 in one day, and I was like, are you crazy? So I chose the one that went over one big one, and then I had to go down. But that was the day where I got lost, and where it was so foggy that I didn't know where to go, and then my battery was empty from my phone, and I tried to get it on with my power bank, but it was really difficult with the weather conditions and with my hands freezing and stuff. And then a Polish family came and rescued me. So yeah, think about the planning of the next time when I do a mountain hike, I will definitely plan it way better. People's reactions. Then I mean the people who are like watching my videos, who are like my family and stuff, and my friends. Because I have another one with people that I met. So this one, so the first one they were both times people were like, what are you doing? What are you going to do? Why? And please just stay here and do something like more chill and more safe. But on the seaside they saw that I was going through it, and of course they were like, what are you doing to yourself? But the mountains one was more intense. That people were like, okay. Even one of my Dutch friends here in Krakow, he was like, okay, I'm going to get into my car and get you back to Krakow. Like those reactions were so. It was a little bit more intense. The mountains, so also the people around me, of course, saw that, and my mom and my stepdad, who watched every single video the moment it came out, like my biggest supporters. They were like, she is so done right now, like, please stop walking because you're like, yeah, you're done. Yeah, you need to slow down and relax and let your body heal, and mentally also take the time to process what you did, because you could also see it in my videos that I was like mentally also like, this is too overwhelming, I have to, and physically especially, like my body was just, so yeah, the people's reactions were like, of course, please come back and stop walking. Memories. The richest memories. For now, I think from the seaside hike, because that was the first time in a year that I was on my own, like just on my own, because I had stayed with the family here in Krakow for a year. So I was just, they left Krakow, and the day that they left, I left for my journey, for my hike on the seaside, so I was on my own. And that was like a really special and intense change. So those memories are very rich right now, also because of the uniqueness of that hike. So those memories are definitely richer, but I also will never forget my first mountain hike journey of almost 300 kilometers. Okay, I hope you're still watching, because I'm already over 20 minutes, but I still have some more papers. What is the first I would return back to? Mountains. Not that I don't have anything with the seaside, because I also love the seaside, but yeah, the mountains, something really special for me. I will definitely come back to the seaside as well, don't worry, but first mountains. Views. Yeah. I think, yeah, the views, and also maybe the mountains, because you were high and then low again, and then high, and the mountains, and Pianini National Park, beautiful villages. And sometimes on the seaside I really didn't have views. And sometimes they were like a little bit the same because the sea, forest, beach. But still, the views on the seaside were also insane, but you can imagine why. The mountains views are more special. Surprises. I had the biggest surprises on the seaside because I hadn't expected these kind of conditions at all. So the morning I woke up and there was snow, and I came onto the beach and it was like all white, and then I came into a snowstorm on the beach, so all those snowflakes were like falling on me and like crazy. And then I had days where like the beach was frozen, so you could just ice skate on the beach, and you had all those ice things, and even on the water in the sea were like those ice things. And I had days where like it was so foggy that I couldn't see the end of the ocean, so of the sea, I'm sorry. So that's the most surprises were like on the seaside. Yeah, I think because of expectations, because I had the same expectations for the mountains as I had on my trip, so yeah. But still positively surprised as well by the mountains, but on a different way, like a different level. Nature. As I said, the Polish seaside also has like brilliant nature. It's like a raw coastline, and I really, really love that. So when I had enough of the seaside, I could just go off the beach and walk into a forest, like for a bit, because that's how Polish seaside is. You have like forests and national parks, and it's insane nature as well on the seaside. In the mountains, of course, the nature is like mind-blowing as well, because you have like those mountain forests and rivers and everything. Like Pieniny National Park is a whole new level of nature, and so both are really, really nice nature areas. I cannot really choose which one was better. The food. So, as I said, on the seaside, a lot of things were closed, so I couldn't really eat traditional seaside food, like fish and stuff. So I had to just take the easy things from the supermarket. You know, that was also on the mountains. I couldn't. Whoa, the snowflakes are really big now, by the way, in Krakow. My goodness, another snowstorm. Okay, but so the food. Wow. The food was on both trips like I didn't want to get anything with me like too much, so it was easy. Like every day my soup, beetroot soup, some bread, fruits, and but if I could choose like in the restaurants, because right now I didn't really have the time to go to restaurants, I probably on the seaside I would eat like fish and stuff, and in the mountains I would eat like traditional mountain dishes, because I really love Polish food. Pierogi, yum. Speaking Polish. So this is also to do with the people, and I come to that later. For me, it was easier to speak Polish in the mountains because people were like more encouraging for me to speak, and as soon as I told them that I didn't speak Polish, they were like really understanding and like really like positive and like speaking slowly so I could understand, and they gave me a chance to speak back a little bit. And on the seaside I sometimes had, when I told them that I only speak a bit Polish and that I'm still learning, sometimes they were like trying to speak in German, and sometimes they were like, you know, like this. They just showed me the room, gave me the key, and then they were like, because there was more effort in and appreciation for me speaking a little bit Polish on the mountains, definitely. Yeah. So 2 more to go. this one, feelings. On both journeys, I was really, really, really happy, and I also had really, really difficult moments where I was feeling a little bit sad. But I must say that the mountains was more stable, like there I had really high happy feelings, and on the seaside there were parts that I just felt alone and lonely, maybe also because I just had left a family where I had lived with for over a year. So on the seaside were definitely more lonely feelings, maybe also because of the reactions of the people I came to in the guest houses and stuff, and no other people. So yeah, it's logical. I was happier on the mountains walk. So this is the most important one, I think, that you maybe also like to hear about, is the people. So for me there was like a really difference in the people, and I don't want to judge the seaside. And I know that a lot of people were not there because it was off season. So please don't be hard on me for saying this, but I liked the people in the mountains more. They were really kind, really helpful, and as I told you, when I told them I speak just a bit of Polish and I'm still learning and I'm from the Netherlands, blah blah blah, they were like really understanding and really encouraging me and complimenting me, and like all those big smiles, and they were just like warmer people, and like really welcoming, and yeah, and it's really helpful and kind as well. Also on the road, when I was walking on the roads, the people stopped their cars and were asking if I needed a lift. And on the seaside, that didn't happen, even though I came across a lot of cars, but no one stopped, like really. And just the people from the guest houses as well were really helpful, trying to help with anything, and just yeah, I think it was a big difference for me between the Polish people on the seaside or in the mountains. So, but I must say, I had one apartment on the seaside of one of you, like one of my subscribers, that were living in Warsaw but had like an apartment on the seaside. So I mean, of course there are also kind and helpful people on the seaside, but I didn't meet them right now because I was in the off season in the seaside, I think. So that was it. Let me show you quickly what the weather now is doing in Krakow. I hope you liked this, by the way. I like making it, so also let me know if you want to do like a live video with me again, because please let me know what we can talk about and stuff. So yeah.